What's up, fellas? How we doing this morning? Another freezing-ass morning in Chicago. As usual, we're not live, but we're in good spirits. I'm in a damn good mood today. I'm feeling good. You know, what's not to love? College baseball starting in a couple days. The most underrated sport. And drinking some Stella Blue coffee. Got my dude wipes out. Let's have a good day. There's so much to love. You know, it's all good. You know, this is such a weird changing of the seasons. Tyler Moody holding down the fort in Louisiana. We're going to jump right in. We got Frank the Tank this morning, the living legend, the man who's inspired.
Hey, how's it going?
Man, it's going great, but Frank, it's better. It's going even better because I get to hang out with you this morning. I see you got your belts out. You're doing some resistance. How are you?
Yeah, I got this little thing that I use every now and then just to get a little bit more resistance on just sitting static.
Hell yeah. Well, Frank, I love to see it, man. I got to say, you're the most slimming. Like, I got to see you a couple weeks ago, and, man, I'm kind of wondering, like, where have you gone? I mean, you're looking good. I saw you're wearing some double XLs now. You're about to get under 300. I mean, dude, you've lost like 180 pounds. It's one of my favorite stories I've ever seen. How are you feeling?
I mean, I know I know I was over 500 pounds. That was as high as the scale goes. And so I was probably closer to 525 or something like that. So that was when I did the heaviest, like 2015, 2016. And I feel better. I'm walking a lot more. And let me tell you something.
Tell us. The people want to know.
That's how you know when you really get that commitment, and that's what you got to have, that commitment and drive. You mentioned how cold it is in Chicago, and I was out in Chicago last month, and it was 0 degrees, and we walked from the hotel to the office, about a good half-mile walk, I would say, and it's been cold here in New York too. It snowed overnight, so I'm going to be going out in a short while and going for today's walk. I might go out for an hour or two, and that's what you got to do. That's how you get there. Is you have to fully commit to it. That's how 503 days now.
503. It all consecutive days, no days off, right?
Right, no days off.
I mean, that is freaking epic. And then, I know you have Jinx, with you, and Jinx is giving me advice, and he's on my ass about ever skipping days. And I got to say, the respect I have for your commitment just blows me away because 503 days in a row, I know you're motivated, but there's always days, we're all people. There are days you want to go, freaking -5 outside, and you're out there doing the damn thing. And you're not just walking, You're not even walking small. Like, at first, I guess you were doing 10, 20-minute walks, but dude, you're now doing like an hour or two. I mean, how many steps are you doing a day?
It's been close to 15. This year so far, I'm averaging 18 a day. And this week, I've been getting like 17. All three straight days, I've managed to get to 17.
Damn, dude, 17,000 steps.
It's tough. Yesterday was one of those days where if I didn't have a streak going, it would have been tough for me to go out there. It was just like, I got to continue to streak. And it was one of those days where you do fight that feeling of, this weather is terrible, it's cold, it's miserable. I got a little bit of a cold coming on, and you just fight through it, and you got it done.
Well, you're doing it. You're doing the damn thing, and it's gotten to where, when you're 500 days in, we're talking about, what is that, a year and 4 months, something like that. It's like totally a habit. Like, I feel like you're at a point where if you didn't do it, you would not feel the same, and you'd be really down on yourself. And now I see you're starting to do some resistance stuff, too. I've been noticing that. How's that going?
That's going well. I try to do it 5-10 minutes a day or so, here and there, or when I'm just sitting static.
That's awesome. That's body emotion, dude. I mean, Jinx. And I got to ask about Jinx because I know you and your team, Mikey Betts, you got a great crew. How's your relationships with Jinx helped you during this journey?
Oh, it's really helped. He's really been there pushing me, helping me, trying to get me to eat better. I mean, it's a battle with that, but I think I'm succeeding in that. I used to eat fast food. I'm talking Wendy's, Burger King, not so much, but McDonald's, you name it. I'd have that at least twice a week, and now it's like maybe once a month if I'm busy. I actually ended up when I got to New Orleans last week at midnight, so I ended up doing a Burger King day only because it was fast and I had to do a bunch of the walks in the morning. So, um, but I'm trying to eat better, and that's I think that's starting to help. One thing I've done is I've eaten a lot more steak.
Good. So you're on the protein grind, huh?
Yeah.
That's good. And UK, we all watch the Frank Cooks. I mean, you can cook a bunch of meat, you know?
Now I want your honest opinion. I put it out last week.
Okay.
I didn't like how it tasted. I guess I'm not an okra guy or whatever it is.
You didn't like the okra? You didn't like the okra?
Yeah,
I like okra.
or the
I like okra. Did you eat? Well, did you eat it fried? Was it fried or was it not
I
fried?
made gumbo.
Okay, you made the gumbo, and you just didn't like how the
Yeah,
okra was. Though you liked the gumbo, but you didn't like the okra. Did you like the rest of it other than the okra?
it was all right. It's just something I probably wouldn't make again.
Yeah, the thing with gumbo, it's like that roux. You've got to like cook it exactly right, and so if you like leave
Yeah,
it too long, it tastes like a burning thing, and so it's like an art.
I didn't get burning. I didn't get burning. Maybe I undercooked it, but I didn't get burning. It was like a it wasn't dark brown, but it was a getting dark brown, more like a Cleveland brown shade.
Oh Jesus! Well, I want to ask. Before I got a bunch of stuff that I got a bunch of listener questions. You went to New Orleans, first time you've ever been down there last week. You did a bunch of Frank walks. What'd you think of the city? Super Bowl week in NOLA. How was your experience?
It was crowded. I tell you.
Oh
I
yeah,
was
yeah, it was
down
that.
down in the French Quarter, I guess that's called, or our hotel was at Bourbon Street in Canal,
Okay, well you
and
were
it
in the
was
heart. You're in the
crowded.
heart of it.
Yeah, so it was like Thursday. I left Thursday, and as I was leaving Thursday, it was getting more and more crowded and packed. And one thing I noticed is service is slow down there. I mean, I
It's
went to
like
a hot dog.
it's like island time. It's like one of those things where it's like the culture. It's kind of like a laid back culture. Like it's
I
almost
went
like
to a
you're like in a
hot dog
different
place
country.
expecting to get in and out of there in 20, 30 minutes like I normally do, and it took 30 minutes for them to get me my hot dogs. And then Mikey went to a Starbucks. Of course, he put that video out. It took him 40, 50 minutes to get his Starbucks order.
It's definitely a different mindset in the Northeast than in
Oh,
South.
that drives me nuts.
Yeah,
That
yeah.
drives me nuts.
Yeah, it was super overcrowded last week too. But like for the most part, it seemed like everybody had pretty good experiences. Like all the feedback online was really really good for New Orleans, and it was a week New Orleans needed after the New Year's Day tragedy. It
Yeah,
seems like. So
yeah.
I was glad to see the positive. So you walked around the French Quarter. I know you got some Frank Walks episodes coming out from it.
Yes, I did. Yes, I did. I worked with Dave. Logan Ryan's coming out this week.
Oh wow,
Got some. I did 6 walks, and those are going to be coming out in the coming weeks.
hell yeah, awesome. So now you look back on you're at 503 days. Do you have a couple that like I know there's so many, and I know a lot of them probably run together, but you've gotten to walk with. I mean, you've gotten to hang out with people like no one could even dream of hanging out. I remember the Scott Van Pelt one. What were a couple of your favorite people you've gotten to hang out with?
Well, probably the most special to me will be the one who, when I was 10 years old, my favorite player was Dwight Gooden.
Oh,
So walking with Dwight Gooden,
that's
that
cool.
was, of course, I walked with Saquon Barkley, and he ended up having a great season, winning a Super Bowl, 2,000 yards rushing. Marcus Freeman and Jack Kaiser and Riley Mills, who were two Notre Dame players, and of course, the coach of Notre Dame got to the championship game. So walking with me has actually been pretty good luck for the most part. Of course, I walked with Mike and the Mad Dog, radio legends. Don LaGreca was a recent one that came out.
The JJ Watt stuff's been great too.
Boomer Esiason. I was walking with him. That was probably one of our longest walks. It was cutting it up with him, especially dropping, teasing him about the Rangers and things like that, and talking hockey with him. And there's been a lot of great walks. PK Subban was a fun one because there was PK Subban was one of the players who struggled with the Devils, and I made this statement one time that he got on the ice and felt like Fred Flintstone. And Yeah, to explain that comment to him, that was kind of funny. I mean, they've been great walks, and it's been really good. And I think the show's only going to grow even more and more.
That's awesome. Well, I
And
mean, I
John
think
Gruden,
so.
yes, another one.
Yeah.
John Gruden. I mean,
Dude,
he's
Gruden
been.
is Gruden the best hire we've ever had?
He might be.
I mean,
I mean,
he's unbelievable.
it's the ultimate coup getting John Gruden. I mean, and he fits. He's got this like sharp personality, this like biting humor, which fits perfectly into Barstool.
Yeah.
He gets it.
Yeah, he brings the juice. And the thing too with him is he loves it. He's so all in, he's so energetic, he embraces it all. I mean, I don't know. I'm so happy he's here. Just getting to know him and his passion and enthusiasm and energy. I mean, it's so freaking cool when he gets to watch football and talking about Spider, drawing up plays for us to go run on the yak. Like, what world is this we're living in?
Yeah.
It's freaking crazy. Well, I got some listener questions for you, and then I've got some sports stuff to talk to you about. If you were first from my guy Clue Haywood on Twitter, if you were the chief executive officer of New Jersey Transit, what changes would you make?
Well, first off, I do a Doge like total
Government efficiency.
audit. Yep, I do a total audit. First off, the building was originally supposed to cost like 200 million. Now it's up to 500 million. It's probably going to go even more. This new executive office building that's being built next to Penn Station, and then yesterday they sent out a tweet. Oh, look, we've put out new lights. You put out new lights. Oh yeah, great. We can see the piss and the shit on the floor, and the needles on the floor, and the rats even better. You didn't do a goddamn thing. You just turned off the dimmer switch. You put a 25. You put a 100-watt light bulb. We had a 75-watt light bulb now. I mean, what are you doing? We're making things brighter. No, you didn't do anything. You didn't do shit. In fact, it doesn't even look like you did anything. It looks like maybe you even turned the exposure up, and you probably didn't even do anything. You probably said, "Okay, we didn't improve lighting, 100 million." And you pocket it. And there's gonna be one day if they ever do an audit of New Jersey Transit, you're probably gonna find so much corruption there, so much corruption. $40,000 a month for parking. Hey, hey guys, your New Jersey Transit, what? Your service isn't good enough. You don't want to ride it? Well, how do you think the rest of us feel? I mean, they just need their trains are old. I'd get rid of any train that's over 40 years old. Any train that's over 40 years old has to go.
Especially if
And,
you're talking
and
about
like half the
millions of
line is
dollars.
40 years old.
All right. So you do a Doge government efficiency audit. All right. Next question is asking about how it just. I know you grew up a Nets fan in New Jersey, but then they moved, and so you kind of lost. Did you just kind of like lose your vibe with the Nets after they moved to Brooklyn? Did you feel like you lost your relationship? Is that what happened?
Yeah, yeah. It started basically the last few years in Jersey. Came after the Tim Donaghy thing. I got jaded about basketball, so I was hardly even watching. They moved. I tried to get into it in Brooklyn. The Garnett Paul Pierce trade was a disaster. They were unwatchable for 5 years. I didn't even care. We had the LeBron Curry era winning all these games, and then they made the big splash. They got Durant, they got Kyrie, and I was saying, maybe I can try to get back into it. And then it was such a disaster. Of course, Durant had his foot on the line for the three-pointer. They could have won a championship in 2021, but it just imploded in such a spectacular way. And the fact that they made all these trades, they basically gave the players what they wanted. They kowtowed to the players. I've been to games at the Barclays Center. It's a terrible arena to go to. There's no
It's very
atmosphere. Even
corporate.
when
I've
they
been
were,
there too. I went one opening night and it felt just like corporate. I mean, it's a
there's
nice
no
arena, but there's
atmosphere.
no like, I don't know. It's just like
There's
New
no
York
atmosphere.
is. New York's a Knicks town, and New Jersey had the
Yeah,
Nets, and then you lost that.
and,
It kind of reminds me of like when the Chargers moved from San Diego to LA in a way.
yeah, exactly. And that move hasn't worked out for them. I still think of this in San Diego Chargers, even though they're playing in LA.
Yeah, no, I'm a
They,
traditional
they, they
sports
took
fan. I'm
away their
like you.
personality. And LA doesn't need two teams. They don't need two teams.
No.
They
Well, yeah.
really don't. It's not a big enough football market to warrant having two teams.
Well, they just don't have. I mean, it's big enough people wise, but they don't have. They don't care about football. I
They don't
totally
like
agree.
football in LA. The people go to LA games just to be seen on TV, and football shows the fewest crowd shots of any sport, except for hockey, and they don't like hockey either.
They don't like the
You
Kings.
know,
Aren't the Kings always good?
yeah, they're good, but they don't. The fans don't have a passion for it in LA. Their two favorite sports are basketball and baseball because that's where they show the crowd shots, and people go to these games not to root for the team, but to be on TV. And oh, look at this! I'm rubbing elbows with Jack Nicholson.
Yeah, no, I agree. All right, next one is from Stooley, just a Stooley on Twitter. He says his team knows about this, but I want Frank's thoughts. Frank walks the official 5-10K run/walks of Barstool Sports. Frank hosts walks and runs in different cities alongside Barstool doing other events. It'd be a win-win for Frank, a win-win for Dave hosting Barstool events. What are your thoughts? I love the idea.
I like it. I like it. You know, whenever we have a major event, uh, uh, whenever we go like we were in New Orleans last week, I could have gone there. We could have had uh, for like things like the Barstool Fund or raising money for the victims of the terror attack in New Orleans, or raising money for like fires in LA, the hurricanes out there in Carolina, and go to all these different cities where we're having like a bunch of Barstool people personalities coming out there doing a walk with the fans and raising money. I think that's a fantastic idea.
I love the idea too. I'd love to do it and walk and jog and take part in it too if we can make that happen. So great idea from the Stooley. All right, how's your confidence level with the Devils from a guy who's saying "Let's go Rangers"? And when do you well, I will start with that first question. How are we doing with the Devils?
They have not played well since Christmas. Fortunately, on Christmas, the Devils beat the Rangers, beat them like a drum 2 days before Christmas. Then they beat the Hurricanes the day after Christmas. At that point, the Devils had the top record in the Eastern Conference. And since then, they've lost two-thirds of their games. They've played poorly. They've had a lot of injuries now. And no team, I think, needed the four-nation break more than they did. They were fortunate to play for some reason, the Devils have just owned the Montreal Canadiens over the last few years. And in fact, no team's ever done what the Devils have done. Win 10 straight games in Montreal. First, I
Damn.
think the Devils are the first team to ever win. First road team to go into Montreal 10 straight times and win a game. Because the Canadiens, of course, they're kind of like a dynasty in ruin. They're playing better this year, but they haven't made the playoffs in a few years. And we're talking a team that's been 30 years without winning a cup. And they used to have as many more championships than the Yankees. I mean, when they won their last Stanley Cup, they won their 24th. The Yankees only had 22 World Series at that point.
Damn.
And it just illustrates how the Canadiens have been in kind of like a dynasty and just like carved in the ice.
Damn. I didn't realize it was that many. 24. All right, so his second question is, when do you normally start focusing on spring training MLB news? Because I know there's got to be big enthusiasm. I mean, the Mets made it all the way to the NLCS last year, and they signed Soto. I feel like you feel there's got to be some positive energy heading into the season, I would think.
Yeah, I'm kind of looking right now, of course, with the Four Nations break, there's no Devils going on. NBA is coming on the All-Star break. So pitchers and catchers are reporting now, so I'm kind of like, oh, look, pitchers and catchers are down there. And I'm going to definitely, at some point, make a trip down to spring training this year. We haven't just picked a date yet, but we're going to do it.
Nice. And how you feeling good about the Mets going into this year off that? That was a magical. That run last year was magical. I mean, that team, like you talked a lot about it. They just had a grit. They always found a way in clutch spots. That Lindor grand slam was an iconic moment.
They started 0-5 and were 11 games under 500 at the last week of May. In fact, they split a 4-game series with the Diamondbacks, where they won the first two and lost the last two, and we're 11 games under 500 on June 2nd. I mean, at that point, you're thinking, okay, who are we going to start? When are we going to start selling players? Are we going to trade? Are we going to trade people? What are we going to do? What's going to happen? Is this going to be? I mean, Pete Alonso, who just overplayed his hand, and the Mets played that one brilliantly to get him back. You're just looking goes, what are they going to have to do next year? I mean, they had this catcher named Omar Narvaez, who basically Daniel Vogelback could have stole a base off of him. He had errors, pass balls, was batting under 100, had an OPS of 200, and he was playing every day because Alvarez was hurt. The Mets just cut him. And Pablo Lopez threw the glove in his stand, and the Mets released him for that. And it was almost like the Mets had a team meeting that day, and it was almost like from that moment on, things began to change. They went to London, split a series with the Phillies, and then Grimace came along, and all of a sudden, by the end of June, they instead of having a June soon this year, they had their best June ever, and they got back over 500 and had a good September and beat the Braves in Atlanta in a game which was probably one of the best regular season games in Mets history.
You're talking about game one of that 2-game doubleheader on that Monday, right?
Yeah, yeah, that was just like, and it just changed everything. And then the Pete Alonso home run against the Brewers, basically they kicked the Phillies' ass, and all of a sudden it's there's a whole different feel around this team now. It's almost like last year was like. For 30 years, it's just been underachieving and just disappointment after disappointment. That last year, even though they made 2 World Series, it was almost like those were like accidental trips to the World Series. But it was like something cathartic and just like a change just like happened, a noticeable change in just the culture.
That's awesome. Well, I love hearing the positive energy, and I know Mets fans love it going into the year. All right, next up, we got a Saints New Orleans guy asking about your New Orleans trip. Do you believe the city of New Orleans deserves good sports teams after you got to witness the community the past week?
It's kind of tough, it's
They're not good right now. I can tell you that. These are rough times. Kellen Moore got hired as a Saints coach yesterday. I think I like it.
Yeah. Idaho legend, by the way.
Oh yeah.
I go out to Idaho to visit my parents. He's got he does commercials for Albertsons, like a supermarket. And the Pelicans, you can't.
No, the Pelicans is honestly, I could just go on a Frank like rant about this stuff because there's never been a more frustrating. The Pelicans are the most frustrating team I've ever followed.
Is that Zion Williamson is a bust. There's just no 2 ways about it. He is a flat out certified bust. He's always hurt. He doesn't take care of his body. And he doesn't look like he cares. And the sad thing is, the Pelicans right now they would get pennies on the dollar for him. And Zion Williamson, maybe he could try to resurrect his career somewhere else, but he can't do it in New Orleans. And the Pelicans have to rebuild. And
it's the worst.
The fact that Zion Williamson ended up being that much of a bust just killed you. And he was supposed to be the next big player, and he was just an utter failure.
I mean, he's good when he plays, but when's that? And I agree. They just traded Brandon Ingram, and Brandon Ingram just got 3 years, $120 million from the Raptors. Congrats to him. But I don't know. It's just like been the most frustrating fan base thing to ever follow because with Zion Ingram, Trey Murphy, Herb Jones, C.J. McCollum, you have all this talent. Like they should be so good, and it just never works out. You know what? I'm not going to.
It's just Zion Williamson just not having the inner burn and desire to be great killed him.
Yeah, he just doesn't want it. And you got to want it. All right, so I saw you were wearing socks the other day. You didn't wear socks for 10 years. Well, why did you not wear? Is that just the thing? Like, why did you not wear?
I don't like wearing socks.
Okay. You like going.
And Jenks wanted me to wear socks because I got blisters on my feet. And so I'll wear it when the blisters get bad.
Okay, that's fair. All right, the people are wanting to know when there's going to be a Frank Walks and Miss Peaches.
That's up to Dave. I mean, if I'm in the same town as Dave, and I mean, I just did another walk with Dave, but I could do like a walk one of these days with Miss Peaches. I mean, it's just got to be a line the calendar right, and Miss Peaches and Pete, of course. Don't forget about Pete.
Can't forget about Pete, the Beagle. I saw them. They had a big walk yesterday. All right, here's a good. I got a couple more. The fans love you, man. I got so many questions. What do you think about the Mavs throwing their own fans out of games for booing after the Luka trade?
It's pathetic. What the Dallas Mavericks are doing is pathetic. What do you expect them to do? You expect them to be happy that you traded your superstar? You went to the NBA Finals last year, out of shape, and you got nothing for him. Yeah, it looks like they literally gave him to the Lakers. Anthony Davis is another guy you know a lot about, but
street. We called him street clothes in New Orleans because he was always wearing street clothes on the sideline.
yeah, and one game in, he's out 3 weeks at least with a groin injury. I mean, you got hardly any draft capital. You got nothing in return for him. It's embarrassing. And so, yeah, the fans are going to boo. And then you throw out people with the signs. You throw out people who boo and some who mouth fire Nico. I mean, I think where there's smoke, there's fire. And I think this thing with Vegas might be fact real. Even though I think they should not be allowed to go to Vegas. Vegas should get an expansion team. I mean, Seattle got fucked 20 years later to say, oh, we're getting your team back. You'll get a team back. When is Seattle going to get their team? They should expand to Seattle and Vegas. End that now. Dallas has got that stadium is fine. What are you doing, Dallas? What are you doing?
Yeah, that ownership, the Adelsons, not my favorite people because they were a big part in online poker getting banned back in the day too. So like it doesn't seem like they care about Americans. But
they wanted online poker banned and they're fighting to get a casino in Dallas.
Well, so they own the Venetian and they thought online poker was bad for their casinos, and so like it was like a huge part of like what happened and like
you know what?
Right.
Dallas Maverick fans, that team's getting moved. That team's getting moved. This is what this is about. This is blowing the team up, jading the fans. You'll have no fans there. You say, "See, look, we lost our fan base." There's more to meet the eye. That trade was self-sabotage.
Yeah, no, I get it. Mark Cuban apparently begged them not to do it too, but obviously he doesn't own the team anymore. I thought it was ridiculous. All right, I got a couple more. What is your Mets prediction this year? And will Pete Alonso be doing the chop by All-Star break? No, obviously.
Well, of course he'll be doing the chop at the All-Star break. He's going to participate in the home run derby, and he's going to do the chop while he does the home run derby. That's his Super Bowl. I mean, it's still his Super Bowl. Nobody cares more about the home run derby than he does.
Didn't he finally get paid? Because it used to be a thing where he was making low money because he was young.
Yeah,
and so that home run derby was like a big part of his salary.
He won the home run derby his first 2 seasons. First 2 full seasons. Of course, the COVID year was in there. So he won the home run derby in 2019, his rookie year, and he won the home run derby in 2021. So, and at the time, he wasn't being paid. So he made more money in the home run derby than he was making as a salary.
But now, well, at least he makes more money now. And
he's going to make about $30 million this year. So he got paid. He just didn't get the years, and that's all. With the Mets, it wasn't about the money; it was about the years with him.
All right, last question's a hilarious one. This one's great. Would you ever go to a Widespread Panic concert with me?
Probably not.
Probably not. Okay.
I'd go to a.
You love Billy. I know you love the yacht rock.
Yeah, I'd go to something like that.
You should go to Billy Joel at MSG sometime. I mean, man, it's I got to do it once.
I saw him last year in Soldier Field.
Oh, okay. I didn't know that. Okay, so there you go. Frank out seeing some tunes. All right, hell yeah. What so coming up, Super Bowl. Quick thoughts. I mean, I thought I had the Chiefs. Or you picked the Chiefs. I think I know I did too.
Yeah,
man, me and you might as well have been playing offensive line out there for them. They freaking couldn't block.
It was just a bad game. It was just a
bad
rough
game.
The Eagles, and they didn't blitz. They just rushed four people up the middle. They just bull rushed the offensive line, and what the Eagles taught us, and maybe I don't know if I don't know how good Jalen Hurts really is. He's a decent, and we know how good Saquon Barkley is, but we know what he was like with the Giants. The Philadelphia Eagles have probably one of the best offensive lines that's just as a unit in NFL history. This offensive line is just they're consistent. They've been good, and they've been good for years. Even with Jason Kelsey's retirement, they're good. That's how the tush push is a cheat code. That offensive line is just lethal. They block well. I mean, Saquon Barkley got 2,000 yards. He's great, but the reason he got 2,000 yards is the holes he had. He had running room. Jalen Hurts, he doesn't get hit that much. He's able to throw. He's able to make plays. I mean, compare it to the Dolphins and Tua Tagovailoa. He had less than 2 seconds to get rid of the ball every time. They have a good running back in Devon Achane who couldn't get any gaps because their offensive line is atrocious. And their GM, I don't worry about the offensive line. Well, you know what? The Eagles show that it's vital to have an offensive line. And if you have a good offensive line, you make a good quarterback a great quarterback. You make a great running back an all-time running back. And that's what offensive line does. And their offensive line is just tremendous. And it's been tremendous for years. And if you don't realize that, then you just got your head in the sand. And the Eagles' offensive line is no one even cares because there's no stats for offensive line. There's nothing. The only time you know it's offensive line is when you got holding or
Yeah.
someone gets.
It's one of those things people don't realize unless they're bitching about it. You're right.
Yeah, and it's the Eagles' offensive line is so good, so strong. It really is just the foundation for the team.
Yeah, well, I don't disagree. I mean, the line of scrimmage, their defensive line, too. The Eagles, to me, one of the most complete teams I've ever seen. To be elite on the offensive and defensive line, and you got freaking A.J. Brown, Devontae Smith, Saquon, and Goddard. Like, you got all pros at every skill position. And then also, drafting Quinyon Mitchell and Cooper DeJean, their secondary was terrible last year, and they totally fixed it. Freaking Zach Bond couldn't even play special teams for the Saints, and he's a first-team All-Pro.
I remember last year when the Eagles had their bad finish. Fans were ripping Howie Roseman. Want Howie Roseman fired. They should be kissing his ass.
It's unbelievable to me. How do the Titans let A.J. Brown go, and how do the Giants let Saquon Barkley go? How do you let players go, and now they're picking 1 and 3 in the draft for decisions like that?
Yeah.
I mean, it's just –
well,
I just don't understand how it's even possible.
The Titans I can understand a little bit. The Titans have decided to rebuild.
But when they traded AJ, they were the 1 seed in the AFC that year. They lost to the Bengals, and they made the AFC Championship the year before. They traded him, and everything just went to shit.
The problem is they just never had a quarterback.
Your boy Tannehill.
They had Tannehill. He never made it. Mariota never lived up to his expectations. I mean, their quarterback situation is bad.
Yeah, I know. And they're in a bad quarterback draft. Like, who would you take one? I don't know if I'd take Shedeur or Cam. I guess I like Cam Ward more.
I mean, Will Levis. Shedeur, I would not take Shedeur. I know.
I worry about Shedeur, too. I can see him taking Cam Ward. All right, well, next few months coming up, obviously you're tons of Frank walks, talking about going to spring training, still doing Frank Cooks. What else you up to?
Hot dog reviews, name it. Just the content never stops.
No, it doesn't. You're a machine. I love it. I love the content machine. And shout out once again to Jinx and Mikey Betts. You got a hell of a team working for you.
Yes, I do. And hopefully I'll get a few more first pitches this year. I got ballpark tour videos coming out soon. Again, I filmed them. I just haven't put them out yet. And hopefully I'll be able to get closer to completing the circuit.
How many more do you have to go to?
Well, I've filmed about 13 of them.
Okay, so you're about near halfway.
And I've been to overall 23 different ballparks.
Okay, and you're trying to get to all of them. Okay, well, you're pretty close. Yeah. What ones do you have left?
I've never been to Detroit. Haven't been to St. Louis or Kansas City.
Okay,
Haven't
so a
been to
little
Dodger Stadium.
Midwest
Haven't been
run.
to Dodger Stadium. Never been to Petco. Never been to Minnesota. And never been to the Blue Jays game.
So you could kind of do like one West Coast run and one Midwest run, kind of is how you'd.
Yeah.
It's pretty damn good. Well, I know people love the
Of
ballpark
course,
content.
I had to try
Baseball
to get to
season coming.
Sacramento now. Now that the A's are going to be playing a couple of games in Sacramento.
Yeah, dude, that whole thing's. I mean, I hope they get to Vegas though. I think the Vegas A's thing could be cool. I don't know.
I think it's going to work out, but you know what I think is going to happen? They're going to be have such a following in Sacramento that Sacramento is going to raise up and have a chance to get an expansion team.
That would be cool. It's only like a AAA ballpark. I think it's only seats like 10,000.
Yeah, but there's going to be a good vibe there. I think. The players aren't going to like it because the field conditions are going to be minor league, but I think they're going to get enough momentum where Sacramento will get heavy consideration for an expansion team.
Awesome. Well, oh yeah, last question I got for you. So you're trying to eat healthier, but you're known for the soda reviews. Are you like trying to drink less soda? That feels like it's a contradiction.
Yeah, soda reviews are on a hiatus right now.
Okay.
I think I've done about as many soda reviews as I could possibly have. If a specialty soda comes out, I'll try that special one time. But for now, it looks like the soda reviews are on the shelf.
All right, fair enough. Well, Frank, I just want to say thanks. Just really love your story. Love Jinx too. I'm giving Jinx a big shout out on here because he's helping me. I'm trying to get into the everyday mode like you, but like Jinx has been helping me start of this year, and I mean I got a long way to go, but I'm down 10 pounds, and it's definitely helping me.
Yeah, well, you just got to get out and do it.
Yeah, I'm running a good bit. I'm running. It's so nice. Shout out Planet Fitness for having that gym in our office. That's making it a lot easier.
That's got to be so much help.
Yeah, it's great. But well, awesome. Well, thank you so much for joining us this morning. Follow the Tank, NJ
All
Tank.
right.
Keep at it. Yeah, love it. Can't wait. I love that Frank Walks 5 and 10K idea. If that happens,
I like that too.
I think the people would love it. Well, thanks to Tank.
Yes.
Appreciate him joining us this morning. I want to address a quick dozen controversy from yesterday. So I'm on a new team with Rudy and Gia. I don't know if you saw this, Frank. Did you see Gia's comments yesterday?
Yeah, that she was doesn't like the team that she's on.
I mean, what's that about? Like, I mean, I didn't want to have to go to Twitter and point out that I scored 20 more points than her last year. I don't know. That was wild. It was a wild move by her coming out causing all these problems with a dozen. But I think that was the first tweet I've had that's gone viral, and people have had been fired up for me in months because all I've been doing. Is
that didn't work out too well for her.
No, but excited to get the dozen going again. Check out the first match. They're airing now. Glad to have that back. Shout out to Nick, KB, and Tate losing 30 pounds on the Barstool After Dark stream. How the hell's KB cut 10.4 pounds? He went from 170 to 160. I mean, I don't know how he can lose any weight at all. But I guess he's like an old wrestler.
You remember he's a wrestler, so he knows how to make weight.
Yeah, Tate was rocking my old Zion jersey. I thought that was pretty funny last night. And as always, ton of Barstool stuff coming up next few weeks. I'm getting geared up for the Yak Pro Day with Clemmer and me. And if you hadn't checked out Rat Race New Orleans, check it out. Awesome production. And then, last shout out, Donnie Ballstool out. I watched a lot of it last night. Thought it was great. All the boys going to get hair transplants in Turkey. You can't make this stuff up. But great content. And as always, shout out for Dude Wipes for cleaning up all our messes. Amazon, Walmart, Target, all over the World Wide Web. One use of Dude Wipes will change your life. It's an amazing product. Let's have a day, boys. Frank already pumping the bands. Yeah, getting out there and walking. Shout out to Moody. Tomorrow I got Kyle Peterson on college baseball opening day Friday. Got a bunch of college baseball content coming out this week too. We're going to grow the game this year, boys. Let's have a day.
Yes, let's go.